Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user TotalDingo5709. Am I the a-hole for secretly cheating on our vegetarian diet that my wife made our family do? I want to start by saying I, 38 male, love my family and wife, 35 female, and I have never been the type to do anything like this before. 12 months ago, my wife converted to a new religion, which included her giving up eating meat. The whole family, me and our 2 boys, were supportive of this, and we held a vegetarian-only dinner that night as a little sign of support. Life continues for another around 8 months, basically unchanged. The boys and I eat meat, and my wife doesn't. However, things start to change around that 8 to 10 month marker, can't remember exactly. Basically, along with not eating meat, my wife no longer wanted to be around it. This wasn't the only thing. Things continued to progress. Basically, my wife started to replace things in the house with substitutes. First, the pork in the house was swapped for jackfruit. Eggs were swapped out for substitutes like just eggs. Shirts were only brought from clean brand like plant-based clothing, and deodorants were swapped out for deodorant pills like Go Scentless. You get the idea. To say this was creating a rift would be an understatement, and eventually I brought up to our wife that again, while we 100% support in her decisions around these things, I didn't think it should change things for the boys and me, unless of course they wanted it. Wife argued that her values have changed and that being around some of this stuff was really hard for her and wanted us to support her. For the next 2 to 3 months, the house was a place of pretty high tension. It had gotten so bad that the boys have friends bringing them meat from their houses since it was now completely gone from ours. Anyway, about a week ago, my wife went away on a few-day-long business trip, meaning I was watching the boys Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Basically, and I'm a bit ashamed to type this out, the boys and I mostly ate meat every chance we got. This was all fine and dandy, the boys and I had a great time until my wife returned home, and it somehow slipped out what we had done. I have never seen her so disappointed in us. After putting the boys to bed, we argued for hours about how I was setting a poor example for the boys, that I should respect the decisions made by my wife, even if they're tough and inconvenient. It's hard to argue back because I can see her side, but it boils down simply to just, I don't want to be vegetarian or vegan, and neither do the boys. Am I the a-hole? Well, OP, off the cuff, no, you are not the a-hole. I'm sorry to say, but your wife shifted the paradigm of your marriage when she said her values changed. And not only that, but she is forcing you guys to have to follow what she wants because you need to support and respect her decisions. But what about your decisions and the decisions of your children? Here's the thing, to me, your freedom ends where somebody else's freedom begins. You don't get to dictate what other people believe. Your wife decided to change her values. She's believing in something else. She doesn't get to force you to do the same. This is a big deal in a marriage. Now, the only way I could kind of see her point of view is because you did something behind her back that you never should have had to do in the first place because she forced you to change your ways which you didn't want to do. Seriously, OP, to me, this is a whole lot bigger than just what food is in your house. And you and your wife need to have a very big conversation about what compromise actually means and what kind of family values you will share. And what do you guys think about OP's situation? What is your judgment? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Infinite Chapter 2652 says, not the a-hole. Your wife is the a-hole for forcing her family to follow the same beliefs as she does. You can't control what other people do around you. This should be a unanimous decision between the 2 of you, and your kids are old enough to choose for themselves. Yacker was never here says, it's funny how you haven't told her to stop her eating choices, but she is quick to tell you to stop yours. Your wife is manipulating your good guy nature to guilt you into a choice you didn't make. She is 100% wrong for that. You need to take a harder stance and let her know this support she wants comes with a cost. Her forcing her choices on all of you will result in respect being lost. In the end, people can't live unhappy. They will remove what makes them unhappy at some point. Weary Scientist says, not the a-hole. She said she got rid of it because she couldn't be around it. Well, she wasn't around it. Also, you guys did not convert to her religion. She can't expect that you follow it. Not really sure what the problem is when she wasn't home. Sailor Chibi says, not the a-hole. Why do you have to respect the decisions that she makes when she has no respect for the decisions that you make? You and your children need to have a say in your lifestyles. One person doesn't get to make unilateral decisions for everyone. She doesn't deserve respect at this point for forcing her decisions and beliefs on the rest of you. I see a lot of you saying you see her side, but not once does she try to see your side. That's pretty effing selfish. This is a hill you should die on, as restricting certain foods as bad can lead to disordered eating in both you and your boys. And Devil's Advocate 8008 says, not the a-hole. Your wife is abusive and controlling. You are a grown man, you are a father, so you have equal say in raising your kids and you get to pick what you eat. Your wife is unreasonable. She is using guilt tactics and emotional manipulation to get her way, which isn't how successful relationships work. You need to put your foot down. Tell her that she should respect the decisions made by her husband and her kids, and that there needs to be a compromise or that it's not going to work out. I can understand her physically seeing meat might be difficult for her diet, so you can come up with some compromises. Some options would include taking the kids out to eat, or get a separate mini fridge where you can't see through and keep your non-vegan foods and snacks in there. You could make sure not to eat that type of food in the same room as her. There are ways you can compromise, and if she's unwilling, then your life is just going to get harder and harder from here, and it's going to cause relationship issues with your children as well, and maybe eating disorders. So the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole, and many of them were raising red flags like, this is not going to be good for the relationship, there could be eating disorders, this is not right, while at the same time giving OP some suggestions to move forward. So now, let's move on to the update to see how the story ends. I want to thank everyone again for your help. My wife and I sat down and read through most of the top comments, and it helped her see some of the stuff we were dealing with. As a quick recap, my wife converted to a new religion, which included her giving up meat, which turned into her no longer wanting to be around it. She then started to replace things in the house with substitutes. It had gotten so bad that the boys would have their friends sneak them meat at school, and one time when my wife was out of town, the boys and I just ate meat, and she was very upset when she found out, and demanded that I respect her decisions. So after our post went crazy, me and the wife basically sat down and tried to talk everything out, using the comments as a guide. Some were pretty mean though. After hours and hours of debating and about a week of going back and forth, the final place we came to was somewhat hard to put into written words, but basically, the boys should be able to live how they want, as they didn't make a decision to be part of this family. But me, chosen to be a part of this family and be with my wife. And if I can't meet my wife in her values, I should decide if I actually want to continue to be a part of this family. So basically, the boys are off the hook until they get a bit older and are able to make decisions at this level on their own. But in order to continue being with my wife, I need to sacrifice and meet her where her values are. I know Reddit doesn't want to hear this, but I'm willing to make a sacrifice like this. My reasons for doing this are 1. Keep my family together, 2. Allow the boys to have their freedom. When I wrote the original post, all I cared about was my boys' ability to choose their own lifestyle, whether that be the one we have or some crazy lifestyle that they want, and I think I've gotten us to that place now. I don't use Reddit much, but I'll check back within a month or two and let everyone know how we're doing. But I think we finally found a path forward. Am I the a-hole for sacrificing at this level to keep my family together? Well, OP, I want to say, yeah, you're the a-hole, but mostly to yourself. Your wife basically gave you an ultimatum. You believe what I believe, or you can't be with me anymore, which basically means divorce. So she's putting divorce on the table without saying the word to push you into doing what she wants. This is the equivalent of that stupid internet joke that I've seen that my partner wanted to get a cat, I didn't want to get a cat, so we compromised and we got a cat. And here's how my ignorant, uneducated guess of how the next 2 months are gonna go. You're going to secretly be eating meat, either at your office or when you hang out with friends or whatever. Somehow, your wife is going to find out. She's going to confront you and tell you how much of a scum of a human being you are because you didn't follow your word after she forced you to do something that you didn't want to do. I'm really sorry to say this, OP, but I think this is the beginning of the end unless your wife understands how unreasonable and unfair she's being and stops pushing her beliefs on you. And for the sake of your family, I hope that happens and fast. Now, I don't usually do this, but what do you guys think now? What is your judgment? Let me know in the comment section, and let's also check out the community comments before we move on to the next post. Cthulhu LaRue says, not the a-hole for making the sacrifice, but this is the slope that you're starting on. She's going to need you to keep meeting her values. Her argument is faulty. You didn't choose to be a part of this family. You made this family with her on terms you both agreed on. She unilaterally changed some of the terms and expects you to still abide by your original terms. That's BS. You need to renegotiate if anything. As for you choosing to be a part of the family, so did she. If her values aren't the same as yours, then she's the one choosing to not be in this relationship. Dude, you just let her gaslight you into thinking you're responsible for failing the relationship. You're the a-hole for sucking everything down. Beck 2010 says, by your wife's reasoning, when you choose to be a part of the family you chose ate meat. Your wife made a unilateral decision without consulting the other stakeholders, you, thus changing the whole choice you willingly made before. Why are you choosing to be with someone who places greater importance on themselves and some new religion they have been sucked into? And Layela says, not the a-hole for trying to be decent, but you're the a-hole for being dumb. Okay, this is bonkers to me. She has changed the terms of the relationship and has now gaslit you into believing that by not doing what she wants, you are somehow in the wrong? She married you as a meat eater. While it's totally acceptable for her to choose to stop eating meat, it's not okay for her to force you to do the same. She says you are not being supportive, but is she being supportive of your choice to eat meat? Her argument is nonsense. She's being manipulative and you have fallen for it. So the community finds him to be not the a-hole and you're the a-hole at the same time, and they've all explained why. Now, of course, we're gonna keep tabs on the story to see if OP posts another update in the future, but in the meantime, let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user ThrowAwayne550. Am I the a-hole for not giving my wife compliments anymore? My wife has gotten a glow up, so to speak. She's hit the gym and dieted and she's looking great. I have also noticed that other men compliment her too. Not in an innocent way either. I'm not crazy about this, but whatever, I trust my wife. The issue came from a talk we had. I complimented her on how much her hard work and discipline paid off. She was like, "Oh, thanks honey," in a rather cold way. I asked her what was wrong. Did she not like my compliment? She said that my compliments don't really count. I asked her what she meant. She said that I'm her husband and that my compliments are a given and don't really make her feel the same way as when others say it. We got into a small argument and she said she didn't really care if I complimented her or not. I said, "Oh, so you like it more when some dude at the bar says something?" She said, "Well, yeah, it's nice to know I still get looked at like that." Since then, I kind of stopped complimenting her, even when I wanted to. Like, as soon as I want to say something, I remember she told me she doesn't really care and I get bummed out and don't want to say anything anymore. Heck, sometimes I don't even feel like having sex. My wife gets irritated when I turn down sex. I tried to explain my feelings to her, but she says I'm being immature and should just be happy I'm getting what strangers wish they could have. No, OP, I don't think you're the a-hole, and your wife saying she doesn't care about your compliments absolutely sucks. Your spouse's compliments should be the one that actually matter. Basically, what you said that your compliments are a given is that your admiration is being taken for granted, and she'd rather some dude in a bar notice how pretty she is or whatever than you. I don't like this personally, and I think you need to have a proper conversation with your wife, because the last time you tried to explain your feelings, she brushed you off and just told you you should be happy that you're getting what strangers wish they had. To me, that sounds like a red flag. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Iotek says, "That's wild to say to your spouse. Definitely some red flags here. She's flat out telling you that her appeal to strangers is more important than her appeal to you, her husband. That's some diabolical crap." Burn420 account 69 says, "You need a divorce. You settled and now your wife thinks she's better than you, and instead of settling back, she's gonna explore. Get out now." And Opie responds, "I wouldn't say I settled. After some years of us being married, my wife did gain some weight. I still loved her the same, and right now, she's looking as good as when we first got married. Something I tried to compliment her on. I mean, I know firsthand how hard she worked because I was the one who helped her with the gym and diet at her request. I've always been a bit of a health nut, so she asked me for help." And Iron Mike 11B says, "Not the a-hole. Brother, you have issues to be wary about. She's enjoying attention from other men. Don't really make her feel the same way as when others say it. She likes them looking at her. It's nice to know I'm still getting looked at like that. She doesn't value your input. My compliments don't really count. She thinks you should be grateful that she pays you any attention. Should just be happy I'm getting what strangers wish they could have. She probably isn't doing anything now, but there's more red flags here than a Chinese pep rally." So the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole, and they're all telling him about the red flags. So now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. So my wife and I had a talk. It almost evolved into a fight, but we both kept our cool. Some info. See, a lot of you told me I'm gonna need to hit the gym. But the thing is, I already do. I have been for years. I don't mean to show off, but I've always been muscular and lean. And as I said in a comment on my last post, I was the one who was helping my wife lose weight. So my wife confessed that she was feeling insecure not only because of her weight gain, but because she sees women always flirting with me or checking me out. She said she constantly thinks that she's not good enough for me. She's never told me this, but she also is feeling a bit insecure because she feels like she's getting older. By the way, I'm 3 years younger than her, and she was getting concerned that I'd want someone younger than her. About what my wife said to me last week, she said that she thought I wasn't genuine on my compliment and just said it because. She also said she wanted me to be more raw in my compliments. As for the whole, I should feel lucky I'm getting what others want. When it came to sex, she told me she just said that because that's what she felt before she lost weight. Like, she felt like she should be happy she gets to have sex with me, but her insecurity got in her head. She thought that I found her disgusting and felt sad because she thought for a second that I didn't find her good enough. We spent hours talking and we were both reaffirming each other that we want each other. We did have sex at the end of it. We also decided to look for a marriage counselor to help us work through this. Well, OP, it's a good thing that you guys were able to have a mature adult conversation about this and are going to seek help. Hopefully the work you guys are going to do together are going to help your wife get over her insecurities and be able to enjoy her marriage to you. So on that note, here's wishing you both the best in the future. Take care and thanks for sharing. And now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliant and it's by user Milled Oats. "You are not capable of doing my job." Okay. So earlier this year, my boss took 3 months off to have some surgery and recover. I have been working for 28 years in my field and I'm pretty capable of my job. My boss is a highly strong woman who believes only she knows how to do anything. Before my boss took her extended leave, I asked about filling in her role while she was on leave and she told me, "You are not capable of doing my job. No one here is." I asked again in an email and was told the same thing. I sent the email to all my work colleagues. When they advertised to fill in my boss's role, no one applied. When management asked everyone why did no one apply, they all said they were not capable. There are over 40 staff who did not apply. Someone from another site did apply. He had just completed his new graduate year. They appointed Bob, who was 24. Bob emailed me after a week directing me to do all his work. There was multiple links and documents, stock orders, meeting agendas, etc. I replied I was happy to do this when I get a free moment. I did nothing. It was clear within a week that Bob had no idea how to be a boss, and things were going wrong very quickly. I was called to an HR meeting and asked why I wasn't doing Bob's work he instructed me to do. I informed him that I already have a full-time job doing my work. How can I do Bob's as well? Secondly, I showed the email that said no one is capable of doing my boss's job. I was left alone after this. Bob basically did nothing for 3 months. My boss returned blowing up how much work she has to do. She tried to blame the workers on the ground for not being helpful enough. I sent her back her email where she stated that neither I nor any staff was capable of doing her work. We didn't see her leave her office for months. Well, OP, she was very clear that no one but her could actually do her job. So if it takes months to do it, it has to be her. Thanks for sharing, OP. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.